Who's got their mics on? Okay, here we go. May 19th, Mayor and Council meeting will come to order at 7 p.m. We are being broadcast on channels 34 and 43 and the Township's YouTube channel, Township of Fairfield, Essex. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, notice of this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 of the Laws of 1975, and has been given by posting a notice of the rescheduled date of the conference and regular meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Township of Fairfield on the bulletin board in Municipal Building and in the office of the Municipal Clerk, and serving notice thereof to the Star Ledger and Progress newspaper on April 7th, 2025.
Thank you, Denise. Please call the roll.
Councilman McGlynn?
Here.
Councilman Cifelli?
Here.
Councilman LaForgia?
Here.
Council President Council President Campisi?
Here.
Mayor Glees.
Here. Okay, public comment on agenda items. Anyone wishing to comment on tonight's agenda, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public comment session. All right, let's go to communications. I have a couple of communications from the police. It is with great sadness that Chief Manor reports the passing of former Fairfield Special Police Officer Nicholas Sergio on May 12, 2025. Special Officer Sergio served the Township of Fairfield for over 38 years in a variety of different capacities, to include as a Special Police Officer, Court Security, and as the Township's Emergency Management Coordinator. A service for Nick will be announced by the family at some time in the future. We also have an announcement on e-bikes, e-scooters, e-skateboards, and skateboards. The police department is taking the month of May to educate the community as it relates to the operation of e-bikes, e-scooters in Fairfield. E-bikes, e-scooters, e-skateboards, and skateboards are not permitted to be operated on any sidewalk or in any park. In addition, those 16 years or younger are required to wear protective helmets. While the department is taking this month to educate everyone, the public should know that beginning in June, officers will be taking strict enforcement action against offenders, to include the issuance of summonses. In addition, those operating motor vehicles should be aware that they will see an increase in bicycle traffic on the roadway. In New Jersey, the safe passing law requires drivers to move over a lane when possible to pass cyclists or other vulnerable road users. If a lane change is not possible, drivers must maintain at least 4 feet of distance when passing on a single lane road. If 4 feet is not possible, they must reduce their speed to 25 miles an hour and be prepared to stop. The department will also be enforcing this law when motorists fail to do so. Thank you, Chief. Okay, a library. We have a little bit of news. The director of the library, Maria Magnabas, is moving on. She accepted a position and will be leaving us at the end of the month. And we all thank her for a great job that she's been doing for the past few years. We wish her well. Jamie O'Donnell will act as interim director for the time being. Jamie has been with us for many years, and I'm confident she'll do a great job also. And as always, check the website for the library for all the events that are coming up in May. And that's all I have tonight. Council President Campisi.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Municipal Alliance, last week we had our senior luncheon. It was on May 14th. It was well attended with 165 of our seniors. I do want to give a special thanks to Dr. Lenny Russo. He did give a great keynote. He was keynote speaker of the event on wealth and well-being. And as always, it's a great event and great seeing our seniors. Also today, actually, we had lead day. I want to congratulate all the 6th graders on graduation of the lead program. I also want to thank the lead officers, Frank Paterno, James Hyde, and Nick Kochi, for their involvement and leadership of the program. So again, thank you. And for Environmental Commission, we actually had our first meeting in a while. We had it on the Greenbrook Development Project, and we had a great meeting. And again, that would be our comments will be passed along to the Planning Board. Will be the next steps. So thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have many meetings on that subject in the future. Okay, Councilman LaForgia.
Mayor, Planning Board has not had a meeting yet, so we're expecting a few to be coming up. As far as recreation, just a reminder, July 2nd, we have our fireworks in town over at the main field. Our spring sports are up and running now. Unfortunately, due to the weather, we've got a lot of makeup games and situations all over to deal with. Our football, soccer, cheering, field hockey, and camp registrations are still open. So if anybody that wants to get started on any signups for those programs, they're welcome to go onto the website. And finally, our Memorial Day Parade, which we always participate in, will be on Monday the 26th, up on Bloomfield, again, weather permitting. And then, of course, at noon, the VFW has a services over on Plymouth Street.
Right. Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman McGlynn?
Okay, with our DPW, I saw there was a posting on 07004 Families where somebody was questioning why certain roads are patched and certain roads are paved. And, you know, they were complaining, I guess, at Club La Beta in Glenroy Road East that they haven't been paved in a while. So I just wanted to put it out there to, you know, the residents that live there or have those questions, that the paving is on a schedule. If we see something that is, you know, could be a safety concern or an issue with the street, we do send our DPW out there to patch. And, you know, and that's why sometimes you see patching and sometimes you see roads being paved. It's all depends on what the schedule is for, you know, specific streets and areas. With the volunteer fire department, since our last meeting, they responded to 20 calls. They had 2 car fires. They had 1 motor vehicle entrapment, and they had 1 house fire. They also will be participating in the Memorial Day Parade on Bloomfield Avenue in West Caldwell this coming Monday. And I encourage everybody to go out and participate with that parade, and also for our memorial service at the VFW in Fairfield over on Plymouth Street. That'll be, I believe, around 12 noon.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Okay.
And as always, if somebody has a question about roads or anything, please call Town Hall, call my office, call the administrator, and the answers are always right there. Okay, Councilman Cifelli.
I have nothing from OEM tonight, and just, I need to mention one thing. From the Finance Department, I spoke to our CFO, John McCluskey, and he informed me that the Finance Office, Tax Office are getting a lot of phone calls about the PTR, the property tax relief booklets, and he said to put it out there that they are available to anyone that needs them in the lobby. Just stop in, pick it up, and go. And that's
Yeah,
it.
I've
That's all I
seen
have.
him there. Thank you, Joe. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the April 28th special executive meeting minutes and regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Councilman Cifelli.
Second.
Councilman LaForgia.
Councilman Cifelli?
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia?
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn?
Aye.
Council President Campese?
Aye. No vote.
Mayor Galise?
Aye. Okay, we have second reading and hearing of ordinance number 2025-13. It's an ordinance to fix salary and other compensation of the municipal engineer in the Township of Fairfield. May I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Councilman LaForgia,
Second.
Councilman McGlynn,
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
aye. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
Councilman LaForgia, Councilman McGlynn.
No, I thought we did minutes first. I'm sorry, Mayor. Could you repeat the vote on that? I apologize.
Councilman LaForgia and McGlynn, I believe. Or was Cifelli?
Yeah, it was Joe.
Oh, okay, it was Cifelli.
Mayor, we're going to, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mayor, we're going to pull the second reading of that ordinance. If you look at ordinance number
16.
6, which is ordinance 16,
Yes,
we have to make a change. When I was looking through the ordinance, busy hands instructors were nowhere in the ordinance. So we're going to pull that and intro the whole thing at number 6.
okay, so we're going to skip that one and go right to,
Right.
okay,
And when we
got it.
intro it, and then everything will be in there and be all complete.
Okay,
So we're going to table it for
all
the
right,
record.
we're going to
We're
table.
going to table that. for-
Motion to table it.
Motion to table, ordinance 2025-13.
Second.
Okay, I'll be first and Mike will be second.
Mayor Galise.
Aye?
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, B, ordinance 2025-14. It's an ordinance of the Township of Fairfield, Essex County, New Jersey, authorizing the township's conveyance of property identified as Block 4601, Lot 6, pertinent to the local lands and building law. May I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Council
Second.
President Campese and Councilman Cifelli.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we will have a motion to close to the public.
So moved.
So moved.
Council President Campese, Councilman McGlynn.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. May I have a motion to adopt, if there are no questions or comments, ordinance 2025-14?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Cifelli, Councilman McGlynn.
Council,
LaForgia, sorry.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Okay, C, ordinance 2025-15. It's an ordinance of the Township of Fairfield, Essex County, New Jersey, amending Chapter 2, Administration of the Township Code. May I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Councilman McGlynn,
Second.
Council President Campese.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, may I have a motion to close ordinance 2025-15?
So moved.
Councilman Cifelli,
Second.
Councilman McGlynn.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Okay, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-15?
So moved.
Council President Campese,
Second.
Councilman LaForgia.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Okay, that brings us to the introduction of ordinance 2025-16. It's an ordinance to fix the salary and other compensation of the township municipal engineer, busy hands instructor, and assistant busy hands instructor of the Township of Fairfield. Motion to introduce,
So moved.
Councilman Cifelli,
Second.
Councilman LaForgia.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Council President Campese.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye, and the second reading?
Will be June 23rd.
June 23rd. Okay, The consent agenda, Administration Department Resolution A, authorization to purchase equipment from CDWG for administration, municipal clerk, finance, recreation, and tax assessor departments. B, authorization to memorialize the change in work hours and salary for Nicholas Muccio, building subcode official, effective May 3rd, 2025. C, authorization to designate Kim Giles Bush as deputy tax assessor, retroactive to May 1st, 2025, with an annual salary of $75,000. D, authorization of a title change and salary adjustment for Jennifer Miller from Administrative Secretary / Planning and Zoning Coordinator in the Engineering Department to Administrative Secretary / Planning and Zoning Coordinator in the Engineering and Zoning Department, retroactive to May 1st, 2025, at an annual salary $67,018.34. E, accepting the resignation of Christine Grasso as head Busy Hands. I guess she's an instructor, effective July 26, 2025. Engineering Department Resolution F, awarding a bid and authorizing a contract with DLS Contracting for the Township of Fairfield's 2023 CDBG grant Beverly Hills Road Sidewalk Phase 3 project in the amount of $45,100. G, release of escrow balance number 77657462242 in the amount of $994.99. H, authorization to hire Matarazzo Engineering for engineering design service for the Dwight Place reconstruction in the amount of $21,600. Fire Department Resolution I, authorization to purchase equipment from Spectrum Communications for the fire chief's new vehicle in the amount of $44,192.20. Fire Prevention Department Resolution J, authorization to amend Resolution 2024-536 relating to the purchase of computer equipment from GTBM for the Fire Prevention Department. Finance Department Resolution K.
Fire prevention, sorry about
Fire
that.
prevention.
I
Is it
apologize.
say,
It's fire,
it's
it's
supposed
fire
to be fire
department.
prevention?
Yeah, no, fire department.
Oh, fire
No,
department.
wait, no, wait.
Finance
Finance department.
That's what I thought.
Sorry about
Finance
that.
Department Resolution K, authorization to issue estimated tax bills. Okay, Police Department Resolution L, authorization to renew annual contract for the Police Department's e-ticket system from GTBM in the amount of $7,607. What's that,
There's something missing.
what is that
Oh, wait.
number?
Hold on a second, GTBM? Oh, my goodness.
I could guess, but I don't want to be
No,
wrong.
don't guess. Let me get you the accurate number.
10 choices.
Let me pull every single one of these. GTBM for the, I'm sorry, have it here, $7,675.50.
Okay. I had a note to ask you that, Denise, and I forgot. Okay. Authorization to renew the annual contract for the Police Department's e-ticket system from GTBM in the amount of $7,675.50. M, authorization to purchase equipment for 3 new police vehicles for radar tracking from Stalker Radar Applied Concepts in the amount of $1,590. Public Works Resolution N, authorization to purchase parts for walking mower from Fred's Small Engine Sales for the Parks Department in the amount of $2,137. Item O, that's authorization to repair 1 DPW vehicle from Jesco in the amount of $1,612.30. Item P, authorization to repair 1 police vehicle, car number 406, from Route 23 Auto Mall in the amount of $1,715.64. Q, authorization to repair the police department's air conditioning system from Trane in the amount of $2,310. R, authorization to purchase equipment from Core in Maine for Water Department in the amount of $1,548.52. Item S, authorization to purchase a 70-yard container of waste.
70-yard containers, yes.
Okay. From Material Process of West Milford, New Jersey, in the amount of $1,750. T, authorization to purchase materials from GEM Industrial Service for the Sewer Department in the amount of $1,632.90. Item U, authorization to hire D&L paving contractors to repair the road, Fairfield Road, in the amount of $8,500 due to an emergency water main break. V, authorization to award an emergency contract to Creamer and Sons for emergency sewer main repair on Fairfield Court in the amount of $80,000. Item W, authorization to hire All-American Sewer Service due to an emergency sewer backup on Fairfield Court in the amount of $4,200. Recreation Department Resolution X, authorization to purchase playground mulch in bulk for the Recreation Department from J.A. Cruz Materials in the amount of $2,048. Item Y, authorization to hire Minute to Win It parties and sweet treat fleet for one day relating to the Recreation Summer Camp Program in the amount of $1,790. Item Z, authorization to hire Window Works to install the seasonal sailcloths at the Recreation Center in the amount of $2,600. Tax Collection Resolution AA through K as stated on the agenda. And let's see, Municipal Clerk Resolution G, approval to transfer hotel license to Ramada Inn effective May 20th, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. H, approval of coin-operated license to Monster Golf. I, approval of coin-operated license to Funtime Junction. J, approval of coin-operated license to Kids Empire. And K, approval of masseuse license to Mecca Spa. If there are no questions, comments, or corrections, may I have a motion to accept?
So moves.
Council President Campisi.
Second.
Councilman McGlynn.
Council President Campisi.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Okay, approval of the bills list. Joe?
Mr. McCluskey, our Chief Financial Officer, has certified that the funds are available. I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $3,346,452.83.
Second.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Council President Campisi.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Mayor Galise.
Aye. Okay, that brings us to written communications. Does anyone have anything tonight? Unfinished business? New business? Okay. Brings us to public comment session. Anyone wishing to be heard tonight, come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Aaron Lowe, 72 Pier Lane. Sorry, I missed last month. Figured I'd give you guys a break.
Aaron, excuse me, could you
Yeah.
just turn that microphone on,
Oh, I
please?
think it's on. It's green.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Oh.
You want me to say it again?
No, I didn't.
Oh, all right, no worries. But I was here, 2 months ago, unceremoniously, at the end there. But anyway, it got me thinking, when I asked about the reported 900 hours, vacation time that were paid, allegedly. And Mr. Gasparini, you had said, while I was standing in the back there, that you did make the payment, or payments, whatever it were, and you said that there was a surplus. That was the reason. So I got to thinking that can't possibly be reasonable. So I went back and I read the contract that the town has with the chief. And just to refresh my own memory, and I was, because I knew it was in here, but it says, first of all, it says the parties agree that they should be mutually bound by the contract. The contract says explicitly under 1, number 3, the sole obligation of the town towards Anthony Manna. 25 vacation days a year, 8 hours a day, it's 200 hours a year. Permitted to use any unused vacation days during the first 6 months of the subsequent calendar year. He shall not be entitled to any payout for any unused vacation leave time. That's what it says. Further, 7, says the agreement supersedes all prior agreements and understandings and may not be changed or terminated orally, and no attempt to change or terminate or waive any of the provisions shall be binding unless in writing and signed by the parties hereto. Very good. So I Oprah requested, and you signed it, yes, Brittany, so I Oprah requested any unused vacation time payments, lump sum payments made to the chief of police between November of 2022 and 2025. First one, that's what I asked for. Number 2, I asked for all associated purchase orders and authorizations tied to those payments, because that's what it says in the contract. It can't be changed unless, is there a subsequent contract or change that I'm not aware of? Because if there is, I'll just stop now.
No, there's no other
No.
contract.
Okay. So I figured there must have been a vote. So I asked for motions or votes tied to those payments and the funding sources for the payments, where they came from in the budget line items, things like that. Right, all reasonable requests, I think. So all I got was these 2 redacted payments here, which is fine, because the rest were, I guess, other police officers. It said in 2023, 142 hours paid, so 58 less than he's allotted. 2024 is $48,419.29. At his hourly rate, that comes out to about 509 hours. That's 2.5 years worth of vacation time. So I was just curious how that happens. And then I was also told that in the letter from Denise, thank you for your letter, I appreciate it. The 2, 3, and 4 were overly broad. You have no idea what I'm asking for, which I think is interesting. It took 2 weeks to get the letter back. You asked for an extension, which is fine. And then another week went by, and on Friday, I get this. It says it's too broad because I use the word any, all. But number 1, I also use the words any and all. And I got what I believe I was looking for. I'm not sure this is it, or this is all of it. So you guys sit here and you read off bills lists one by one for minute amounts of money that were paid, right? Because that's how it has to be done. There has to be a vote. You have to approve all the money that goes out. I mean, that's done by law. Specifically, NJSA 40A 5-16B. It says the governing body of any local unit shall not pay out any of its money unless the payment carries a written or electronic certification of some officer or duly designated employee of the local unit having knowledge of the facts that the goods have been received by or the services rendered to. So that's what I was asking for, is that if it's a willful breach of the contract to the detriment of the residents of the township, that's not allowed. And I was just curious, it says there's a surplus. Well, if there's a surplus, I feel like there's probably a better way to spend surplus money. I don't know if anybody's walked in the park recently, back behind, where it goes down by, in the woods there. Right. If you walk back there, it's falling apart. There's holes. It's awful. I mean, it's a liability to the township for sure. If someone gets hurt, there's a good way to spend that money if there's a surplus. But we have contracts, and I feel like we have contracts because it holds everyone accountable, right? I'm giving you something, you're giving me something back. And if there were a willful breach of a contract to the township, I'm sure you would, is it Marquetta? Is that what I'm saying right? Yeah. I'm sure Mr. Marquetta here would be more than willing to go to bat for the township, hold someone to their end of the bargain. But if the contract explicitly says what it says, it was signed and executed, and then it was breached willfully because there was a surplus, how does that work? how do we have any trust that the money is being spent the way it's supposed to be spent? How are we supposed to believe that the people who work for the town and are entrusted with the township's money as a fiduciary are doing right by the town? I'm not sure how that works. And, you know, I thought about it for a couple months, and is it really a big deal? Is it a lot of money? Maybe he's entitled to it when he retires anyway. That's possible. But under the terms of the contract, it wasn't appropriate. And, you know, I often think about my grandfather, and I think, you know, I come here all the time and no one's here but Miss Gale. You know, and it's who's asking these questions and who's holding people accountable. And if we don't abide by contracts, why have a contract to begin with? What's the point? If we're just gonna do whatever we see fit. So I really, you know, have a problem with reading a contract, being told that, well, we have a surplus, so I paid him. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why have contracts? Why do you guys approve bills every month? And if you didn't approve it, then I don't think that he's supposed to be spending money without approval. Just something to think about. You know, when we were telling people, you know, there's a rule of law, there's things that need to be done, and there's rules should be followed. And listen, I have a lot going on in my life currently. I graduate tomorrow, studying 8 hours a day. I don't really want to be here doing this, but it's the right thing to do, to ask the questions. And I know it makes you uncomfortable. You don't like the questions. That's okay. This is not personal. I hope you don't think it's personal. But I had a hard time, especially I can empathize with those people who are worried about their roads being, you know, bumpy, you know, drive up my road. But I basically got a lecture from the township, not you, Mr. Miller, about the appropriate use of public funds and how in no way were they going to use public funds for something that was inappropriate. So I have a hard time when I get told that and I get lectured and then I see this. I'm like, well, if it's good for me, why is it not good for everyone? I'm not sure. But, I mean, I got lectured and then, you know, we had an agreement. I sat down with you and Mr. Miller in your office and we talked about this. And you said, you're going to plow the road. Not pave the road. You never said you pave the road, just clear. You're going to plow the road, right? It's like, you know, here's the statute, gives you protections. Think my road got plowed this winter? Not a chance. And I'm not saying that's your fault. I'm not saying you told them not to do. I'm not saying any of those things. The point being, when you bring this all together and then you see this, and then I get told, you don't know what I'm asking for when I ask for purchase order authorizations, any votes or motions tied to them, or the funding sources, I find that hard to believe. But I've already brought my denial of record access complaint to the state. So hopefully that will get resolved there. Further, when it comes to your car, I listened to what that guy Nick said, never met him, a couple months ago about UCC money being used. And it seems that your vehicle was paid for with UCC money. UCC money is statutorily required to be used for the enforcing agency under 523 4.17. Cost of motor vehicles in the amount proportionate to their use for the enforcing agency. Payments for the purpose may be in form of mileage reimbursement paid to employees for the use of their own motor vehicles. Cost of purchase of motor vehicles by the municipality for the exclusive use of the enforcing agency. How does that work? Because you don't even have to open it. The resolution, everything's online. And purchase order 23-02952 with emails from Mr. McCluskey that initially was going to be paid for 50% from the sewer department and 50 from the UCC, and then it changed to 100% to the UCC. And then we added $4,700 because you needed a third row. Not sure how that benefits the town in any way. So total cost was $51,076.88 from the UCC, which obviously the building department doesn't have control over. So then I realized that $148,409.48 for 23, 24, 25 have been spent from UCC purchase of auto account for vehicles. That's 51 grand for your car, 48,858 for a 2025 white Ford Explorer, and 48,474.10 for a 2024 white Ford Explorer. I'm not sure how many people we have in the building department. I know we have a lot more now. But then, I don't think we have that many people in the building department, and two of the Explorers sit over there behind the recreation building, and I believe the recreation director drives one of them. So, if that's what this says, again, I have a hard time reconciling those things. Maybe there's a reason. I'm open to hearing. No? Okay. This would be a lot easier if there was like a just easy back and forth. That would be easier. Because the more questions come up, because it's difficult to get answers. You know, and then also into the UCC, you guys are reimbursing the staff for travel. So if we spent $148,409.48 on vehicles for them, well, at least two of them, because one's Mr. Gasparini's, we're also reimbursing them for travel, their own vehicles. That seems confusing to me. We also paid for the engineer to go to a conference, a floodplain management conference. I don't know how that relates to the construction department. But I decided to look to see any other vehicles that you guys have bought and what accounts they came from. Now, you bought a DPW truck, and that came from the DPW account, which makes sense. The rest of it, I'm having trouble with. And then also the tints on the vehicle, yours specifically, Mr. Gasparini, I'm not sure, did the township pay for that? The tints on the vehicle?
You want an answer?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
No.
none of these questions are
No.
rhetorical.
No, they didn't.
No?
No.
So you paid for them
Yeah.
personally?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so obviously we know that's a violation of the traffic code, right?
Like all the rest of the cars that are tinted?
Just because it's
It's not a violation.
It is.
It's under the tint, whatever the ratio is. Percentage.
70 in New Jersey? I mean, your windows are pretty dark.
Right.
And,
They match the rest of the car, correct?
right, but that's not allowed in New Jersey.
Okay.
I mean, you can look at the statute.
Thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome, because it's a township asset.
Right.
And I don't think that we should be allowing things to violate the traffic code, right? Like, rules, just because they're broken by other people doesn't mean that.
Right.
I think that's pretty reasonable. So yeah, so it just seems that the way the money is being used is not appropriate. And are people allowed to, township vehicles, can any other township employee use their own personal money to modify a township vehicle? Is that allowed? No? Yes? I mean, these
Depends
questions aren't
It
rhetorical.
depends on what it is. It depends
Like
on
what?
what it's for.
All right,
It's
so
not-
can I have like, give me an example, if you wouldn't
Go
mind?
ahead.
No, if you could give me an example.
No, you
something.
could give me an example. I don't know what somebody would want to personalize other than tint the window.
Well, can any township employee take a township vehicle and modify it as they see fit?
No.
No. Okay. So not everyone can do it.
Correct. Well, it depends on what it is, again.
Would they need approval from the council to modify a township asset?
I don't believe so.
So the township council has no control over the township vehicles and how,
Sure
like
they
the
do.
badges that got taken off of them, or anything that goes on? I just think these are reasonable questions, and
The thing is, Aaron, the questions and all that you're presenting, I don't have an issue with them, okay? You're raising questions and stuff, but you're getting into specifics that we don't have here right now.
All right,
So it's very
that's reasonable.
difficult for us to turn around, and it's not like we don't want to, answer you or give you, an answer to your questions and all and stuff. But like I said, you're getting into specifics that we had the specifics prior to the meeting, we can give you the answers.
Sure.
You know,
And
that's all I'm saying.
I like
I'd
to
to say.
No, and I appreciate that. And, I like to come with specifics because I think, speaking in generalities and whatnot doesn't really get you anywhere. So if any of you would commit to sitting down and having a conversation, and I'll bring you what I got, we can have a conversation about it, give you some time. This is no rush. But I think, when it comes to financial transparency within government, it's one of the most transparent things. And as residents, you have a right to ask the questions. And when the statutes say one thing, and when you see something else going on, it's concerning, right? And just like contracts. And, I asked for these things in the Oprah request. I thought they were all reasonable. Obviously, 2, 3, and 4 flow from 1. But hopefully that can get worked out. Like I said, I put the appeal into the state the other day. They got it. They responded to me today.
If I could just ask you, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
Yeah, no worries.
When you say you put the appeal into the state, what did you file specifically?
So denied records.
A denial of access complaint?
denial
And
of
was
access
Was that with the Government Records Council or the
Yeah,
court?
the DRC.
Okay, the GRC? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll spare you my comments on the issues with your Oprah request, then we'll
Oh,
deal
yeah,
with that
no,
before the GRC.
and I understand there's, there's broad language and,
Yeah, we'll brief that before the GRC, but just a point of clarification, and you come and you're certainly allowed to ask questions, and there's the forum to do it.
Thanks.
But the Open Public Meetings Act is not meant, this public comment portion that by law is required to be afforded to members of the public, and I assume you're a resident here at Fairfield.
A long time.
Okay. It's not designed to be a question and answer
Yeah.
session. That is something where you can approach one of your elected members of this council, the township administrator, and sit down and have a dialogue.
Yeah.
This is more to deliver comments, ask questions, and then, if somebody wants to get back to you with, answers. But it's not meant to be an open dialogue
Yeah, no.
in this forum. It's just the right thing in the wrong forum, if that makes sense.
And I do understand. Sometimes I take liberties because I've known a lot of these. Graduated high school with Pete. Known these gentlemen probably since I was a baby. So I take some liberties and try to just have a conversation because I know them and I'm comfortable. I understand. I'm not looking for substantive answers to these questions. I do understand that, but I appreciate it.
And congratulations on your graduation.
Oh,
too.
thank you. Yeah, maybe
And
sit
you
up there
could, you
one
could
day.
come, before you come here, you could always come to town hall and get the answers too. You don't have to come here, you can come anytime. And if you have answers, just like anybody else, we answer 100 questions every month. And if you come and you want answers, we'll be glad to do it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I also take the stance that I think these conversations should be had in public, so everyone can hear them. I have no problems coming in and sitting down in private. I mean, I've spoken to multiple council members off the record. They've called me. We've had decent conversations. That's great. I have no problem with those things. I do think some of the questions need to be asked in public, so everyone knows. Not looking for, like I said, substantive answers. That's okay. We can have those conversations at a later date. But I think these are legitimate questions. And, if we can I wouldn't even mind going through these and how to get them more specific so I get what I'm asking for. But I think these records don't exist. I think that's the problem, that there are no motions and there are no votes.
Well,
And that's the real problem.
We're we're in litigation in this matter, so we can't public comment. But,
Not
you know,
litigation.
I don't want you to go
Comment
back there, then I gotta call you back up.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, well,
one-
last
one-
time you did that,
I
I got
know,
yelled
I
at
know,
and thrown
I
out of
know.
here, so we can't
So,
have that again.
Real quick, I'm a little confused.
Sure.
You made a comment, and I'm gonna go back to the plowing of your road. You made a comment, I spoke to you multiple times on the phone.
Yeah,
I told you what to do, you did it.
yeah,
We spoke after that, the snow happened,
yeah.
and just after we had the meeting with the police department, we spoke again, and again, you thanked me each time.
Yeah.
For, not once did you mention to me that the town did not plow your road.
No.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, but you thanked me for the help for getting your road plowed and what I did, but not once you mentioned to me, telling me, only up to that meeting with the police department, not once.
So Pete, I think we're mushing
No,
together
I'm just-
multiple,
I'm not- I'm
we're
going
mushing
off
together
of-
multiple
I'm going off
conversations.
of what
And
you said. You said the town did not plow your road.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to you that we spoke multiple times
Yeah.
after the winter season, and you thanked me.
Right.
And not once you
Right.
mentioned that the town didn't plow your road once. And we had a lot of snow this year, right?
I wouldn't say a lot, but
We had a good amount of snow, right? We had enough of where you would plow. I
had
know,
enough to
I know
plow.
people plowed my road on Scott
well,
Drive.
that's nice.
So, but not once, but you thanked me every time. So I'm just
Well, and-
confused how
and-
thanking me, and I mentioned it once, of how I just don't want you up here and that, I mean,
Well,
it just seems like.
what I thanked you for, Pete, when you reached out twice, the last time was for calling me and having a discussion, because we had a discussion that was completely separate, had
that
nothing
was
to
the
do.
email I got from you when I
Right.
called you on.
Right,
yeah.
that was what?
Yeah.
August? No, that was June, I think I came here the first time?
Yeah, then-
Because it
then
was
we
the summer,
spoke
because I
another
said,
time. Whatever the date.
Right, so-
And
so
then
that was
we
like in
spoke about
June.
3 times.
right,
in
so
the
that was in
midst of-
June.
In the midst
And
of
then
this.
I came here again, I didn't come back for 2 months, and then we talked, and I did what you said, and then
Yeah, that's the-
we moved on.
Yeah.
Right? And last time you called me
Yeah.
was in, was it May, what the hell was it, in March?
Yeah, a couple weeks
Right,
ago,
yeah.
when
And,
I
and,
returned
and we,
your phone
and
call,
we,
yes.
we talked about something completely different, not even something that crossed my mind. Now, plowing my road is not on the top of my mind all the time. Now, it relates to here about agreements. And the agreement wasn't between you and I, between Mr. Gasparini and I. So I'm not gonna say something to you about it's not snowing. If you wanted me to, then I apologize. It wasn't on the top of my mind. We were talking about something completely different.
No, and then I said, if you have, I did say, I said, you come up here, you talk well, we grandstand, and I said to you again, I said, just like you did with the plowing of the road, go talk to the mayor and go talk to the administrator and they can give you the answers.
Right.
And again, I said, just like the plan, and you thanked me on that call again.
Yeah.
Yes.
For
I
reaching out.
I appreciate, no, you said that, thank you again for what you did with the road. And not once did I hear it wasn't plowed. And yes, as a councilman and you're elected official, yes, that's probably something you should.
It's not something I'm gonna think about in March.
Just like overtime payments or anything, that's something you probably should tell me or anybody up here.
Well, I did
to
last
make
time I
sure.
was here.
The first time I ever heard.
No, it's not, because I said it, and we could go back and watch the video if you want. But that's how I got the answer out of Mr. Gasparini that I got about the overtime payments. It's because I brought it up.
Talk about overtime, about
Oh, you just said overtime, Pete.
I said, yes.
And when
just
you
like
called
that,
me,
you're
I
asking us
thanked you for
questions.
calling and reaching out, and I do. And I appreciate you telling me that I should go to the mayor and council, not in a public forum, that I do speak well, and people believe me when I talk. Well, people should believe, because I bring cold, hard, concrete facts. I don't stand here and say, well, I heard, somebody told me, and, you say I grandstand. I'm not grandstanding. I'm standing here talking calm, no big words. I'm not grandstanding. I apologize that you think that way, or you think that that's what I'm doing. But I'm simply here asking questions that I'm entitled to ask. And like I said, and I expressed to Mr. Marquetta and Mr. McGlynn and everyone up here, that if any of you would commit to sitting down and having an actual conversation with me and not prejudging what you're gonna read, then I'd be open to it. Now, do I really think much is gonna happen? I have my doubts, but, yeah, that's it. But I wouldn't say me coming up here, asking questions is grandstanding, and, I think that's kind of a demeaning thing to say to someone, when they have genuine concerns, because this is genuine. This isn't personal. I had a lot of things going on. Being here, chatting with you guys is not really at the top of my list. But I will keep coming back, because I think that this is important. And with that, I've probably taken too much of your time as it is. Thank you, sir. It was nice to meet you. Gentlemen, we'll speak
Aaron,
soon. I
before
hope.
you walk
Yes,
away,
sir.
I don't understand why you didn't call up and come in, make an appointment.
I just explained myself again.
We've sat before and talked about your private road.
We have.
Right, so,
And, you know, really the substance of that meeting, you know, I don't want to get into. I wasn't really happy with the way you and Mr. Miller, or Mr. Miller specifically, basically threatened to drag me through the courts, even if I was right.
I don't
But-
think that's the way the conversation
Well, I'm sure you
went.
don't think that's the way the conversation went, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But again, as I've explained it to Mayor Galise, just explained it to Mr. Campisi. These conversations need to be had in the public,
They can be had in the public.
and that's why I'm here.
But you can't, just like the attorney told you can't come in here and, you know, expect answers to things that
I
you have
didn't.
to look into.
I didn't say I
had
was
already-
expecting an answer.
I already had told
I
you.
said verbatim, I don't expect substantive answers to my questions. That's what I told them.
I had already told you, I believe, the night of the police meeting about the payments to the chief for his
Yeah, you said it was
time.
surplus. Yeah.
and to also the PBA, which I notice you're not even talking about, that they got the same
Oh,
payments.
I believe I told Mr. McGlynn on the phone, if the PBA and the cops got paid and they weren't entitled to it, that's a problem too. I'll say it right
Well,
now.
everybody's entitled to it because it's time earned and time coming to them.
But there's, right, and if he's
And
entitled
it's
to it in the
all-
future,
And it's all salary. There's
different.
no purchase orders for people's salaries, their compensation. There's
but
no
it's,
purchase
but
orders.
it's time one not is entitled to under a contract.
Well, listen, I'm not going to get into a legal argument with you,
I
but
figured.
I'm going to tell you that, yes, they were paid the money they were due.
Outside of the contract.
Outside of the contract, I don't know. I
you
would
don't
have
know?
to, no, I would have to discuss that with an attorney, whether it's outside the contract. It's salary. It's what's owed to them. They
Yeah,
got
but
paid.
I mean, the contract says what it says. Anyway, anybody else before I go, before I leave and sit down and come back and sit down or try to come back and get yelled at and no? All right, we're good?
Nope.
Gentlemen, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may go back to a conversation you had earlier about the chief's report, I mean, your police
Sure.
report. I thought it was thorough, the report that the chief gave us about the e-bikes.
Right.
But can I just stress to you, chief, it's horrible out there. I mean, very, very horrible. I know that you're gonna make an attempt over, please stress with the officers that are out in the cars. Because, I mean, yesterday, I made a right on Sand, a right onto Hollywood from Sand. And as I was making the turn onto, around the field, a young man came on a scooter, you know, the kind that you used to push with your foot? This kid came around going towards Drug Fair in the middle of that lane, and I don't know how fast he was going, on one of those little scooters. And, you know, had I been a little over, maybe, I don't think I would have hit him, but I mean, could a car making the turn the other way been out of the lane? It's really, you know, I live on Hollywood, and what I see with those bigger bikes on the sidewalk, there are accidents waiting to happen. I don't know if anything is gonna happen, anything further, Mayor, but, the helmets are another story that you know, you guys have been there, taking care of that for years. I just want to stress to anybody that might be listening in the public, or Gail, you know, the parents or somebody has to take control of what these kids are doing out in the streets or on the sidewalks, because I see both. And it's up, with the police I know you've got
Well,
several other things to
enforcement,
handle.
just like we said, the enforcement will take place now. And, you know.
Please stress it.
We're aware.
Please stress it.
Okay, just a couple quick comments. I could tell you that it's a problem statewide, that the Montville Police Department actually called us to get our copy of our ordinance to implement in Montville.
Can I ask, is there any kind of it sounds stupid, but a speed limit for these bikes? Is there-
Well, there's a speed limit with a governor on it, because if it exceeds a certain amount, it could actually fall under New Jersey state law. But ultimately, its speeds are anywhere up to almost 40 miles an hour. And so that's a problem. We are trying to, from the State Chiefs Association, petition our legislators to actually take state action to make it uniform throughout the state. I can tell you, just by way of example, about an hour and a half ago, on my way to my house, I stopped a 10-year-old, it turned out to be a 10-year-old on Orchard Lane, and warned him for riding on the sidewalk and not having his helmet on. And he went home. I came back to come to the meeting an hour and a half later, and the same kid was doing the exact same thing, to the point where I stopped at his house, spoke to his father, told him the consequences. The father basically, took a good side with the police, saying, impound the bike next time. So I will tell you some of the things that have come up in social media comments, and in case people are listening, I want to be accurate to this. We do understand that parents have a certain concern having their children ride on the street and not on the sidewalk. But I do say to parents that they choose to give these bikes to their children. The governing body chooses where they can be ridden. And so there are ways to get to certain locations without going on main streets. It might take a little longer. There's absolutely no reason not to wear a helmet. We see them dangling sometimes from the handlebars, and that will save someone's life, especially at 40 miles an hour. We've been asked about, we didn't say anything about other bicycles riding on sidewalks. But again, a bike coming at 30 miles an hour without you hearing it presents a substantial risk to a pedestrian. You just hit somebody with a handlebar, you may actually cause a fatality. So this is a law and your ordinance, and you've chosen, and I agree with it completely. So we're going to enforce it. And I know some people may not agree with it, but it's not their stance to agree. If they should come here and talk to you about it. Right. Again, whether our officers agree with the ordinance or not, they're going to enforce the ordinance. It's just that simple. We did have a question, and I will say this will come to the mayor and council, about whether or not e-bikes in the manual mode are allowed in the park or on the sidewalks. Technically, under the ordinance currently as it exists and reads, that would be no, they're not. So even in a manual mode, if it's an e-bike, the ordinance specifically says they're not allowed in the parks.
And I believe that's correct.
Okay, I wanted the public to
Yeah.
be clear on that. So
Yes.
if you're asking that question and you're hearing this, they're not allowed in the park.
To me, that's just a loophole.
It probably is, sir, and I would agree with you on that, but I just want them to be clear so that they don't say, well, they were in the manual mode, they're still not allowed in the park.
Right.
To be honest with you, Gary, to some degree here with some of this stuff, I mean, I know first and foremost, we have to be compliant with the law and move accordingly, okay? But I kind of feel like almost a sense of urgency here because I'm seeing things too. And I was talking to John about it, earlier in the week, and saying the same thing. And I said, the last thing that I want to ever have to do is sit here and see that somebody was in a horrible accident or a fatality or something like that, particularly as it pertains to children. And I don't know if, I kind of even wonder sometimes if some of the parents realize the position that they're putting their children in.
I don't know that.
Because when I see a kid pass me and I'm in an SUV, there's, that's a cause for concern. And somebody that walks a lot, like myself, I'm in the park and all over the town and stuff, walking and stuff, I can tell you, too many times to count, I've had kids come flying past me and I never even heard them.
Correct.
Until I saw them come past me. So if I happen to just step the wrong way, to your point, I'd be,
You'd be
in a bad
hurt.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
and we agree with that, and I'm trying to be reasonable in educating the public for this brief period of time. You saw message boards. We've sent out letters to every school child at West Essex and in Fairfield.
Right.
We have officers walking the park handing out the same flyer. It's on our social media. We are taking as much action as we could to educate before we actually, and I don't want to say blitz, but actually blitz it. And I think by way of example, if we start actually summoning some of these children, it is going to stop. Or parents are going to come to you and speak. But again, I think that's the reason the whole thing was enacted in the first place.
And everything you said, Mike, is the reason the enforcement is going to happen.
Right, and I know like we're doing it, but I'm just saying, I still feel this sense of urgency. And the more I think about it, you know, when you look at the speeds they can go, if a kid ever hit a telephone pole,
Yep.
okay, it's,
We,
Yeah,
we're
it'd
in
be
total, we're all in
catastrophic.
agreement. I just think parents need to come to that realization that, I could tell you as a child, I had a moped, but I had to be
Right, right.
16 years old, 16 and a half, had to get a license. You know, there was laws that had to be
and
complied with.
most of them didn't go over 25 miles an hour.
Right, correct. So none of these things are regulated, and they go over 25 miles an hour. So it
Yeah,
really is
yes.
an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I hope parents take this to heart.
That's the reason for the enforcement, chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We will close the public comment session at this point. The next meeting of the mayor and council won't be April. It will be Monday, June 23rd, 2025 at 7 PM in these council chambers. May I have a motion, if no one has anything else, to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Councilman LaForgia?
Second.
Council President Campisi.
Councilman LaForgia.
Aye.
Council President Campisi.
Aye.
Councilman McGlynn.
Aye.
Councilman Cifelli.
Aye.
Mayor Glees.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.